Okay, yesterday we talked about the theoretical hierarchy of an athlete, kind of all the foundations for it. And one of the things we looked at was each one of these, you don't necessarily have to have these memorized, but it is important to know that each one of these more or less build upon each other. And the foundation of them is nutrition. So today we're going to kind of dive headlong into nutrition. Obviously, when we think about nutrition, we have to talk about our food that we eat. When we think about food, we think about it as a fuel. We don't necessarily eat for fuel. We eat for a whole host of social and emotional reasons. But when we think about food, we think about it more as fuel. And today we're going to look at it as a drug. Because in much the same way that drugs have an impact upon our hormones, that's very similar to the way that a food does. So we're going to look at the three parts of food, the three micronutrients that kind of make up our foods, which are carbohydrate, protein, and fat, and kind of think of each one of these as very drug-like in the impact that they have on our hormones. So obviously a lot of the more popular carbohydrates are your breads, pastas, rices. Those are the things that kind of come to mind when we think about carbohydrate. We're also going to look at some of the ones that we don't necessarily think about as carbs, that are the fibrous carbohydrates. But whenever we take in a carbohydrate, a hormone is released that's called insulin. You probably have heard about that before. Insulin is a storage hormone, and so it signals the body to store energy in our cells. It will store fat in our cells. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute, but moving on to protein, some of the standard proteins that we know are meats, are dairy products. Protein has an influence on our hormones in that it releases a hormone called glucagon. You probably have not heard about glucagon. Glucagon is a mobilization hormone. That means its job is not storage, it is to release energy from the cell. So already at this point, we kind of have a glimpse of these two opposing hormones that have kind of an antagonistic relationship in that they work against each other. One is to store energy in our cells, one is to release energy. And hormones not only tell us if we'll gain weight, they'll tell us where we'll gain weight. Cortisol, belly fat, high insulin levels, love handles and back fat, high estrogen levels, hips and thighs. So hormones are significant in anything when we talk about nutrition, our fitness, and in weight loss. We have these two ones that we're going to talk about, the glucagon and the insulin. And essentially what we need to look at for success in our nutrition is to think about kind of this internal teeter-totter, this seesaw effect that we have. Glucagon on one side, insulin on the other. Again, glucagon is a release hormone. Insulin is a storage. And anytime these are off balance, our hormones are off balance. And we're not going to have success in anything we do.